The rumors in the Silence F galaxy had always been loud, empires shouting over each other, fleets moving across sectors, and the council debating endless matters in its grand halls. But then, for the first time in centuries, silence spread. Not because peace had been achieved, but because of a rumor. A whisper moved between traders, mercenaries, and scouts. They said humanity was building something. Not a fleet, not a station, but a single ship so large that stars themselves might look small beside it. Most dismissed it as myth. Humans were stubborn, yes, and unpredictable, yes. But they were still young, still climbing toward the heights other empires had reached long ago. They had no right to create a ship that could disturb the galaxy. Yet the whispers grew. In the grand chamber of the Galaxy Council, voices echoed. One alien elder slammed a clawed hand against the table, insisting that humans were only boasting. Another argued that the council must investigate, because humans had broken every expectation before. They had survived wars they should have lost. They had grown stronger every time someone tried to crush them. Then came the first signal. A scout vessel from a neutral sector picked up a shadow moving near the Chi edge of unexplored space. The ship was massive, its readings too high to process. Before the scout vanished, its last message reached the network. 2 words only. Titan class. The council froze. Titan class was not a human phrase. It was theirs. A term used to describe impossible ships that existed only in legends. Vessels said to hold the power of dying stars. No species had ever managed to build one. Not even the ancients, whose ruins still floated in forgotten systems. The idea that humanity had achieved, it was madness. Still, fear does not listen to reason. As the report spread, worlds began to prepare. Fleets shifted from their patrols border. Colonies armed themselves, and ambassadors demanded answers from the humans. But humanity remained silent. Their channels offered no replies. Their envoys smiled, but spoke nothing. It was as if they wanted the galaxy to wait, to grow restless. In the deep void, the shadow kept moving. Captain Drell, commander of a small exploration vessel, was the first to see it directly. His crew had been charting the rim when sensors screamed. A wall of metal and light stretched before them, longer than moons, wider than stations. Its hull alive with moving lights. His officers whispered in disbelief. No ship could be that large. It looked less like a warship, and more like a continent adrift in space. Drell ordered a message sent. A simple hail. No response came. He tried again. Still nothing. The Titan drifted slowly, silent, its presence alone enough to crush the courage of his crew. When he turned to leave, every system on his vessel went dead. No lights, no power, just silence. And for one terrifying heartbeat, a sound vibrated through the hall, deep and resonant, as if the stars themselves had spoken. Then everything came back online. His crew wanted to run, and he let them. As they fled, the Titan did not move. It simply remained there, watching. The council received his report 3 days later. Debate erupted at once. Some demanded preemptive strikes. Others urged caution. One elder reminded them that humanity's history was filled with warnings. They never attacked first, but they always ended wars others began. This Titan, whatever it was, might not be a threat unless pushed, but fear was stronger than reason, and whispers turned into shouts. If humanity truly possessed a Titan, then every empire's balance of power had ended in the quiet of his quarters. Captain Drell replayed the sound again and again, that deep resonance that had shaken his bones. He realized it was not random. It was structured, almost like a word, though no translation system could yet read it. Still, he believed he knew what it meant. It meant silence, and the galaxy obeyed. Asterisk the first glimpse for weeks. The Titan had been nothing more than a shadow on the edge of records. A rumor of impossible scale. The council demanded proof, and soon proof arrived. A coalition patrol of 3 ships had been assigned to watch the human border. Their task was simple: monitor, report, avoid engagement, but curiosity is heavier than orders. And when the sensors screamed of a vast object emerging from the dark, the fleet turned their bows toward it. At first sight silenced even the most arrogant among them. It was not just a ship, it was a world, its body stretched like a mountain. Forged of metal, longer than any capital fleet strung together, its sides layered with lines of light that pulsed like veins. Sometimes white, sometimes blue, each glow moving in patterns no one could explain. The crew of the lead ship whispered, calling it alive. Their captain disagreed, insisting it was only advanced engineering. But even his voice trembled. They sent a hail. The Titan gave nothing in return as the patrol drew closer. One brave officer dared to magnify the surface. What they saw sent shivers through the entire bridge. The hull was carved with strange markings. Not paint, not panels, but deep engravings that seemed to shift when stared at too long. Some said it looked like language. Others said it looked like scars. And then came the strangest thing of all. The Titan's surface opened, not as if launching weapons, but like an eyelid peeling back, revealing a massive circle of light, deep and endless. The patrol ships froze, waiting for destruction. But no. Fire came. Only silence. Only the cold stare of something vast and incomprehensible. Panic spread through the crews. One officer shouted to retreat. Another begged to stay and watch. Their arguments filled the air while their captain struggled to decide. Then the Titan moved. It did not rush. It did not threaten. It simply drifted, the smallest motion of its engines creating waves in space that rattled the smaller patrol ships. Like leaves in a storm, its movement was slow, deliberate, like a giant brushing aside dust. The patrol followed at a distance, unable to resist, their scanners collecting as much data as possible. Back at the Galaxy Council, the recordings caused chaos. The elders watched in silence as the Titan glided across the screen. Some muttered in disbelief, some whispered in fear. One stood and left without a word. As though even watching was dangerous, reports poured in from merchants and travelers. They too had seen the Titan at a distance, its shadow blotting out stars, its glow marking systems like a beacon. Every account was the same. The Titan never attacked, never spoke. It only moved with silent purpose. But silence is often more terrifying than war. The Karn, a proud warrior race, declared that humanity had finally gone too far. They insisted the Titan was not a guardian, but a blade waiting to fall. Their fleets gathered, promising to test humanity's strength. Meanwhile, in hidden rooms, other empires whispered of surrender. Without battle, if humans had truly built this ship, then resistance was useless. Why fight a storm that could not be stopped? But not all believed. Some argued the Titan was illusion, a projection, a trick of human propaganda. Others claimed it was old technology, something humans had stumbled upon rather than created. Yet none dared to draw too close, for those who did often returned with broken ships, or not at all. Captain Drell's report of the sound was compared with the patrol recordings. Deep analysis began. Scientists argued that the resonance was communication, but none could decode it. One suggestion, whispered, but never recorded officially, was that the Titan was not talking to the galaxy, but to the humans alone. One council elder asked the question no one wanted to hear. What if the Titan was not human? What if it was something older, something found, and humanity had only awakened it? The chamber fell quiet at once. No one wanted to imagine humanity commanding a relic of the ancients. Yet the thought would not leave. In the shadows of deep space, the Titan glided past an abandoned station. Its lights brushed over the empty metal, and for a single moment, every sensor on the station came alive, as though the Titan had touched it with invisible hands. When it passed, the station returned to death, but the memory remained to the galaxy. This was no longer rumor. This was real, and still. The Titan had not fired a single shot. Back on Earth, Humanity remained silent. Their diplomats gave no answer. Their leaders made no statements. Their channels carried only routine messages. It was as though they wanted the galaxy to tremble. The Titan continued its drift, its light carving patterns across the stars. And everywhere it went, the galaxy watched in silence. The testy council could not sit in silence any longer. Rumors had grown into fear, and fear had turned into panic. Leaders demanded answers. Generals demanded action. The galaxy needed to know if the Titan was truly unstoppable. After endless debate, they agreed on a plan. 3 fleets from 3 different empires would converge at the edge of human space. Their task was simple: intercept the Titan, demand an answer, and if it refused, strike. Many argued it was madness. Others called it bravery. But pride weighed heavier than caution. The Council could not allow one young species to command the galaxy's fear. When the fleets arrived, they filled the void with steel and firepower. Hundreds of ships surrounding a single path. Captains broadcast their demands. Identify yourself. Halt. Submit to inspection. Their voices overlapped in every channel. The Titan did not reply. It drifted, as it always had, its massive body glowing with patterns of shifting light. The engravings on its surface pulsed like a heartbeat. A second. Hail followed, louder, more urgent. Still nothing. The fleet commanders grew restless. They ordered a warning shot. Beams of energy cut across the Titan's hull, but instead of tearing metal, the beams scattered, vanishing into ripples of light, as though the Titan had swallowed the attack whole. Shock echoed through the channels, but pride drowned caution. The fleets prepared another volley. This time, the Titan moved. Its engines did not roar. Its cannons did not fire. It simply turned, slowly, impossibly. Like a mountain shifting in the deep, its surface brightened. Lines of light crossing each other until a single core of energy formed at its center. The fleets opened fire at once. Hundreds of weapons blazing, missiles streaking, beams cutting, but nothing touched the Titan. Every attack vanished into its glow, as if swallowed by a sea too deep to measure. Then came the pulse. No flash, no thunder, only a single wave of light, silent and soft, yet unstoppable. It spread across the fleets like a breath of wind, and in the blink of an eye, every ship went. Dark, their lights flickered, their engines failed, their weapons died. Silence followed. In that silence, thousands of crew members felt the same vibration through their bones. The same deep sound that Captain Drell had once heard. It was not a word, yet it felt like one. A voice without language, a meaning without translation. And then the ships were gone. Not destroyed, not broken, simply gone. Vanished from sensors. Vanished from sight. One heartbeat they filled the void. The next heartbeat only the Titan remained. Drifting, calm, untouched, across the galaxy, panic erupted. The news spread faster than light. Fleets had been erased by a single motion. 3 empires had lost their proudest warships in a moment. The council chamber was chaos. Voices screamed. Some demanded retaliation. Others demanded surrender. One elder spoke louder than them all. You cannot fight this. But even as fear spread, questions grew. The Titan had not killed. It had not burned colonies or shattered worlds. It had only removed those who struck first. Was it a weapon of conquest or a guardian? Whispers began that humanity had built the Titan not to rule, but to protect. A shield, not a sword. Yet no one could believe it without doubt. The galaxy had seen too many wars, too many betrayals. In the shadows of human space, the Titan returned to silence. It did not chase. It did not boast. It only drifted, as though waiting for something unseen back on Earth. Leaders watched from hidden chambers. Their faces calm, their voices quiet. They had expected this. They had planned for it. The Titan was their answer to centuries of pressure, wars, and demands. One general whispered, "They wanted to test us. Now they know, on the far edges of the galaxy. Traders and wanderers told stories. They spoke of the fleets that vanished, of the sound that shook their souls, of the way the Titan's light carved across the stars. Some said the Titan was not just metal, but alive. Others swore it was not built by human hands alone, but awakened by human will. And everywhere, silence spread. For the galaxy had tested the Titan, and the Titan had answered. The message of Earth Galaxy had seen fleets erased, proud empires humbled, and still the Titan drifted, silent, unshaken, untouched. Silence had become heavier than war, heavier than death. Worlds trembled, merchants whispered, soldiers prayed to stars they no longer trusted. And the council sat in fear, waiting for what humanity would do next. Then, without warning, the Titan spoke, not in sound, not in language, but in light. Its surface ignited, the engravings across its body blazing brighter than suns, and from its core came a pulse that reached across the galaxy. Not to destroy, but to be heard on every world, on every ship, on every station. Screens flickered, comms went dead. Then came the same simple message. We warned you not to push us. The words were plain, the tone calm, but the weight of them crushed entire empires. For years, humans had said it, again and again, in wars they had not started, in borders they had not crossed, in battles they had not chosen. Each time they had warned, do not push us. And each time the galaxy had laughed, calling them arrogant, calling them reckless, calling them small, and now the Titan was their answer. After the words came silence again, but this time the silence was heavier. Every empire stared at the message frozen on their screens. The signature beneath it was clear. Earth Council of Nations. It was not the voice of one leader, not the boast of one empire, but the united will of all humanity. Fear turned to anger in some corners. Warriors demanded retaliation. But their leaders did not move. They had seen the fleets vanish. They had felt the deep resonance that shook their bones. They knew war meant extinction. Others whispered that perhaps humanity wanted domination, that this was only the first step. Yet the Titan did not advance. It did not invade. It did not claim. It simply waited, glowing silently on the border of human space. Scientists studied the recordings, and whispers spread of something stranger. They said the Titan was not only a machine. Its surface pulsed like veins. Its hull shifted like living tissue. Some swore it was grown, not built. A fusion of technology and life. Something beyond the reach of any other empire. If true, then humanity had crossed a boundary no one else had dared. Captain Drell listened to the message again and again. Those simple words burned into his mind. We warned you not to push us. He remembered the deep sound that had shaken his ship, and he wondered if that sound had always been the same warning. Only now translated into words. The council called emergency sessions. Their chambers filled with arguments. Should they bend? Should they unite against Earth? Should they scatter and hope to be ignored? No one could agree, but in the silence between arguments, one truth remained. The Titan had not attacked first. The Titan had only answered. Meanwhile, on the streets of distant colonies, ordinary people whispered of a new order. No longer would humanity bow to threats. No longer would they be treated as a minor race to be used and discarded. The Titan was proof that humans had reached a place no empire could deny. In hidden rooms, spies reported what they had learned. The Titan had not been built in secret shipyards. It had been raised, nurtured for decades under oceans, within mountains, and in the dark between stars. Human engineers and scientists working in silence, generation after generation. Some even claimed that the design had been seeded by something older, fragments of ancient ruins reforged with human will. But whether born or awakened, the result was the same. The Titan now stood as the guardian of Earth. When the council demanded clarification, humanity replied with nothing more than silence. Their diplomats smiled, but said little. Their envoys attended meetings, but gave no answers. It was as though they wanted the galaxy to live in uncertainty. And it worked. No fleet dared to move against them. No empire dared to test the Titan again. The memory of the vanished armadas was still fresh. The Titan drifted slowly, its lights pulsing, sometimes faint, sometimes bright, always alive, always watching, and everywhere it went, the galaxy remembered the message. We warned you not to push us. The New Order Titan floated at the edge of human space, a silent mountain of light and shadow. It did not chase fleets. It did not demand tribute. It only waited, watching. Yet its very presence was enough to change the galaxy. The Council, once filled with voices shouting over one another, now sat in uneasy quiet. Every empire knew the truth. They could no longer command humanity. They could no longer threaten Earth with fleets or demands. One ship had ended the old balance. And so, without a treaty signed, without a battle fought, a new order began. Merchants adjusted their routes, avoiding human borders unless invited. Smugglers whispered that even in the darkest lanes, the shadow of the Titan could be felt. Colonies once pressured by neighbors now stood unchallenged. No one dared to touch them in the halls of the great empires. Rulers struggled to explain to their people why they would not strike back. Warriors clenched their fists in shame, but even they could not deny the truth. War would mean silence, not victory, for the first time in centuries. Borders calmed, empires hesitated. The galaxy itself seemed to breathe slower. Still, the fear of the unknown lingered. What was the Titan truly? Was it a warship, a guardian, or something alive? Scientists argued endlessly, studying every recording, every ripple of light across its surface. But no answer satisfied. Some claimed the Titan's power source was not energy as they knew it, but something deeper, something tied to the very fabric of space. Others insisted it was seeded from ancient ruins, a relic awakened by human hands. And there were whispers, soft and fearful, that humanity had not built it at all, but that it had chosen humanity. Captain Drell, who had first seen it, was summoned to speak before the council. He repeated the same words he had carried since that day. It does not want war, but it will not allow us to push humanity again. His voice was steady, his eyes hollow, for he had felt the resonance in his bones, and he knew it was truth. On Earth, people walked with a new kind of pride. They had been called reckless, fragile, and weak, but now, with the Titan drifting above their borders, they were untouchable. Their children grew up knowing that no empire could take their skies away again. Farmers in distant colonies, workers in stations, miners on cold moons, all felt the same comfort. The Titan was theirs, not as a weapon to conquer, but as a shield to protect. And so, humanity did not expand recklessly. They did not seize new worlds or demand tribute. Instead, they strengthened their own space, building quietly, watching carefully, letting the galaxy wonder what they might create next. This restraint unsettled the empires even more. A sword raised is frightening, but a sword kept sheathed by choice is unbearable. The Titan itself became legend. Travelers told stories of its glow, of the silence that followed its passage, of the way entire systems seemed to pause when it appeared. Some swore it could not be seen unless it wanted to be seen. Others said it moved like a phantom, faster than any engine, yet always drifting. Like a dream, the galaxy gave it names: the Silent World, the Star Guardian, the Leviathan. But humanity called it nothing more than what it was. Titan-class. Years passed, and the memory of the vanished fleets became a warning carved into history. Children of other races grew up learning the same lesson: do not push humanity. In time, wars between empires slowed, for none wished to draw humanity's attention. Rivalries turned to cold stares, not open fire. The council still argued, but beneath every word was the unspoken truth. Humanity was no longer a small voice in the chamber. Humanity was the weight pressing down on all of them. In quiet moments, some elders admitted that the galaxy had not fallen into silence because of fear alone, but because deep down, they had seen something in humanity's titan that they could not explain, a mixture of defiance and creation, of destruction and protection. And that terrified them most of all. For the first time in the long history of the stars, the galaxy realized humanity was not just another species to manage or control. Humanity was a force, unpredictable, unbreakable, and unwilling to bow. And as long as the Titan drifted at the edge of Earth's space, glowing silently, watching patiently, the galaxy would never forget the message. We warned you not to push us. And so, the galaxy fell silent, not in peace, not in fear alone, but in respect. A new order had begun, and humanity stood at its center. Asterisk.